Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, and empowerment coach. And I'm here today to talk about this week's transits. And we are heading into some very, I want to offer it this way. I really think that the times coming up, good morning, CV, are really indicative of an opportunity for us to rewrite our own power to create here on this planet. Hi, Katerina. Hi, Scarred Owl. Good to see you. Hi, Small Wildflowers. Good morning. It's where today is actually, tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? No, let me see. I wrote it down here. I think today doesn't the sun go into, tomorrow the sun goes into Virgo. But thank you so much, Scarred Owl. Okay, so it's been an interesting week, and I want to offer it this way. Good morning, Jules. I'm going to talk about the transits, and we've got some interesting dynamics here. We've got Mercury in big play here. We've got Neptune, we've got Pluto, and we've got Uranus, Venus as well. So Mercury is the lower octave of Uranus. And I'm saying this because today we have Mercury at 25 degrees Virgo making an opposition to Neptune. And I want to offer it this way because, a lot of people will talk about, illusions or fooling yourself or, having sort of rose-colored glasses on and hoping that things will be better than they are while experience keeps telling you something different. So what I think this is about today is an opportunity because Neptune is in the house of self-undoing. So when it's and Virgo represents a sense of earthly reality. So I want to offer this idea of this opposition today, which is going to go on for a couple of days, is an opportunity to think, are my thoughts, are my everyday activities, is my speech aligned to what I really want to experience on this earth? Because the next day, tomorrow, Mercury will trine Pluto. And, I believe that Pluto is really all about what am I pretending not to know? Because Pluto rules power and control. But is it really control over others? Or do we appear to control others because we inspire them, because we're willing to dig deep into the psychology of our own process? Because I want to offer it this way. And I'm kind of going to run through the transits back and forth. I feel like I'm going into a little bit of a like a pot, and all these ingredients are being stirred together, even though people want to look at them as individual, because Uranus is going to go retrograde on the 24th, which I believe is Wednesday. Don't quote me. I'm saying this because Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, and how can I liberate my thoughts through epiphanies that appear to be shocking and unexpected, and yet they are not. For those of you that were here last week, I had a moment, and when I reflected on it subsequently, I realized that I have had this underbelly of thought, and that as I have moved into my 60s, and as I've moved away from Lotta's channel and tried to grow on my own, I have my own trepidations and fears, and one of them is to potentially be not palatable to the audience or aged out, whatever it is. I'm not saying it's a real story. I'm just saying it is a story. I have Saturn on my Chiron. So my point is this. I reflected on my thoughts. How did I co-create the experiences that I've been having recently? And how can I use them to empower myself? And I remember saying to myself, everything's working out for me. And am I willing to be brave during the process? Because some of these things that are going on, Uranus is going retrograde at the 18th degree, which is the Virgo degree. So how can I take my thoughts and liberate them and then incorporate them into the practical world? Because on that same day that Uranus goes retrograde, Venus in Leo Now, let's not talk about money or possessions. Let's talk about self-worth. Let's talk about the idea that Leo rules the heart, and being vulnerable to the heart and allowing your heart to lead the way. It is trining Chiron in Aries at 15 degrees. 15th degree is the Gemini degree. There's my thoughts again. So I feel like Chiron in Aries is giving me an opportunity to be brave within 15th degree. Yeah. Okay. For a second, I thought I screwed up. Chiron is giving in Aries is giving us an opportunity to be brave and to be sort of look at this from a little bit bigger perception. How does this divine disruption, whatever it is, how does this opportunity to look at my self-worth help me anchor in a truth of my own evolution versus going back to an old story? Because we've got Saturn making some aspects as well. So on the 25th, Venus is going to be now at 17 degrees, Leo, opposite Saturn, and then making a square to Uranus. So I want to offer it this way, because this is where Saturn gets real. And the point of, are you co-creating every experience? Because indeed, I am co-creating every experience. While I don't want to take always 50%, I get choice there. So good morning, Shelley. Good to see you in the chat. So as I make this choice to be brave, the Aries energy, Chiron in Aries, making this aspect to Venus, how can I use this disruptive experience to empower myself versus giving life to an old story, a historic story, a depressing story, an oppressive story, Saturn in its lowest energy? So, and then on the 26th, next Saturday, Mercury is going to move into Libra. Because I think the big theme this week is not about regret. It's not about blame. It's not about victimhood. You know, sometimes even in our mistakes, there is a wisdom to be garnished, or in our how can I phrase it? Our willingness to be aware on some level that our thoughts are things, but experience is what teaches. So last week, while we had that glitch in the broadcast, when I went, after I shut the broadcast down, I went into meditation and I said to Spirit, how am I co-creating? How am I sitting in an energy? What am I getting to look about me? Because maybe it's more about my true sense of self-worth. And that's why I was so triggered. And that's why I got so emotional. And there had been a series of events that got to bring up some old stories. Saturn, opposite Venus this week, my self-worth. And then liberating me through a challenging square to Uranus in Taurus. Uranus at the 18th degree, going retrograde. So here we sit in this energy. I really think that there are no victims here. There are only opportunities to be empowered. And as we look at these disruptive dynamics that really a lot of these planets are offering us, are they not offering us an opportunity to walk through them in a new way, or in a way that allows us to experience ourselves differently? And I don't think this can happen conceptually, which is why both Uranus and Mercury are so pivotal this week, because we know we're going to have a Mercury retrograde coming up in September. Oh, and by the way, I put a link to the new moon video in Virgo in the description. I've done a separate video for that. So, you know, there are no villains. There are no victims. There's really no heroes here. They're just opportunities to use certain experiences to see how we're co-creating to lead ourselves up to a higher vibration of what we want to experience. And that's what I want to talk about and where I'm focused. Because last week's incident was not isolated from me. There's been a weird series of things. I think I told you guys all about the cops coming to the door and calling me an elderly lady in the middle of a webinar. I mean, just this kind of, it's a little humorous when you can step back from it for a minute. So this week, I'm really going to kind of look at you guys as light workers, and you're lighting up your little individual storms, and you're the lighthouse there. So when Neptune is making this opposition to Mercury, am I going to allow myself to look at things from a spiritual aspect? Because Neptune in Pisces right now is really illuminating where we are escaping, where we are hoping. When we hope that something is going to change so it aligns to what we want, we're really disempowering ourselves. And we're saying, I'm tired of having to work so hard. And this is where Neptune in its highest vibration says, you don't have to work hard. You just have to be willing to receive and willing to sit in a moment of being observant of my thoughts rather than taking inventory of what's sitting in the realistic 3D world that you're walking through. Because this trine to Pluto is really, yes, the sun moves into Virgo. I didn't see my note there tomorrow. But this Mercury trine to Pluto is not about trying to, and I haven't even talked about Mars going into Gemini. I didn't even write that note down. So Mars is now in Gemini. Okay, so let's just talk about that for a minute. Mars, the sign that rules bravery, that rules heroism, that rules aggression and bluntness, in the sign of communication and the communications and interactions we have with others within our communities, our neighborhoods, our teams, our workmates. So I think that this particular week is an opportunity to look where we have clung to illusions of hope that other things outside us would change so that we could feel better. And I think this is an opportunity to say, you know what? I'm going to take the reins of my life and I'm going to feel better and I'm going to walk through that. And as I walk through that, I'm going to feel the power of my own choice. Because choice is where fear empowers us and is the most exhilarating and truly may even be on a par with love, if not eclipse the feelings of love. Because when we walk through our own personal fears, which are the thoughts that project out into the future, the unknown, then we have an opportunity to really see our own power on this earth. And then we invite others to commingle with that power, and we feel safer and more rooted. So that's where I'm going with all of this. Welcome, Tebow. We haven't seen you in a while. It's good to have you back in the room. I hope you're doing well. Hi, Jules. Welcome, Sean. I hope I got to everybody. I'm going to go. Oh, hi, Michelle. Good to see you in the room. All right, let's go into our readings. I'm going to start with a tarot card. We're going to do our last little stint in Leo today, and then we'll go on to Virgo next week. Okay. Thank you, Jules. I appreciate that. All right, Leo. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. There's the 9 of Cups. This is a card of truly personal satisfaction. And when I see it, I kind of always focus in on that yellow that illuminates. It's like an aura around the cups. So I think that this person has a certain amount of satisfaction about lining things up. Knowing, there's such a large curtain in the blue color that's really representing, for me, the blue is my throat chakra. And his garb is also blue. And this particular crossing of his hands feels like a job well done. I almost feel like I'm looking at I Dream of Jeannie, like this. I've made magic. So while I believe this is still somewhat in process, because as the cups are illuminated, they're not quite full yet, I do believe this is an opportunity for Leo to really sit in a sense of self-satisfaction. Now, let's talk about the idea that if you are a Leo sun, moon, rising, or if you have stelliums in Leo, you have Saturn opposing you, depending upon the degree. And I think the self-satisfaction could come from the higher octave of Saturn saying to you, now it's time to come from your heart chakra, because Saturn is in Aquarius, your sun, your moon, your rising is in Leo, and any other planets. So am I coming from my heart? Are my thoughts mirroring what I want to experience? Or are they inadvertently, Mars and Gemini, boomeranging back to what I've experienced before? Because again, experience teaches. So somebody who's experienced challenges over and over again will feel as if those happy thoughts or those positive experiences, while they're all warm and fuzzy in concept, they'll be very Neptunian and foggy. So as they're foggy, that's your co-creation. So you do your best to get to a place where you can sit in a broad enough thought that you can anchor into this energy of self-satisfaction and of your own creation. So let's do a spread with the angel cards and with the Avalon deck. All right, here we go. I'm excited that it's foggy today. I'm always so ready for the fall when it comes. I don't know what it is about summer. I think it's a combination of being in such a busy little place. All right, here we go. Leo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And for the purposes of these videos, we're going whole sign, Western astrology. Our first angel is Caressa. The second is Grace and Antoinette. The third is Adriana. And the final is Archangel Michael. Caressa talks about being at the end of a life cycle, the opportunity to move from one chapter to the next. And, you know, the human is funny because at one point they crave the change, and at the same time they can often be a little fearful of the change because it sets them in a place of unknowing. So Caressa is talking about a life cycle ending, and now more balance and alchemy is coming into play. And this is verified by this card here. You're going to feel a sense of self-satisfaction. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the novice. Adriana is being joined by the Queen card. And Archangel Michael is being joined by the Movement card. Okay, so, you know, Leo rules the zodiac by definition. And at the same time, there can be this energy from Leo that while they love to be standing in leadership, they're also looking for how their leadership is landing on other people, or how their expression is landing on other people, how their everything fifth house, their enjoyment, their personal pleasure, their romance, the creation of children. Caressa is bringing the end of a life cycle that has been disrupting your balance. And it's beginning, okay? Because your cups, I don't know why that's doing that like that. Your cups are still, while they're lined up and ready to be filled, we're still allowing ourselves to walk through this process into a place of co-creation and the magic and balance of co-creation. Because here is the novice saying that you're starting a new story, and Grace and Antoinette is asking you to have compassion. And I think that's the compassion for self as we walk through the journey of closing one chapter and opening another. And sometimes that's simply a thought process that has been blocking something that would otherwise have come to fruition already. Because Adriana is trying to teach Leo, or remind Leo, that you are being led through your ease and reception and your ability to sit and wait for this nice little page to bring you a refill of your wine. Because Archangel Michael is asking you to have the courage, and I mean this, the courage to stand in a place of believing in magic. Merlin is always, well, it represents, you know, in this deck, balance and justice. It is the awareness that you're the co-creator that brings that alchemy into the 3D experience. So, Leo, I think while things are still in process, you're going to start to have epiphanies this week. I think Mercury trine Pluto is going to give you an opportunity to dig deep into how powerful you are. And the power is not about the dominion over others, but rather the power of your thoughts and what you talk about. This has been obviously for those of you that have watched me for a while, this is kind of a theme for me. And last week it sort of felt like a crescendo. So I'm happy about what happened, because I felt like it gave me an opportunity to really dig deep into where was I standing in this? Where was my depth? And in that, I got to step up. And when I say step up, I got to say to Spirit, I'm ready to own me. I'm ready to own all I can be. So I'm looking for you to escort me to the next chapter, is the way I want to put it. So now, Leo, it's time for you to own you. It's time for you to own you in a big conscious way where you're intentionally creating. And that's what Archangel Michael wants you to know, that you're being protected and there will be movement, meaning you'll start to see signs and omens of that. And I think that movement is going to have a lot to do with the Mercury retrograde coming up. Okay, let's go on to our Virgos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Good morning, Jenny B. I'm so happy to see you here. Hi, CV. Oh, I said hi to you, I think, already. You were the first one in the room, I think. Okay, let's look and see what we're going to talk about for Virgo. Your moon is coming up. Your season is coming up. Happy birthday. Hi, Richie. Oh, look at this, the Chariot. You know what I love about this card? It always feels like when I see the Sphinxes, I understand polarity just a wee bit better. I feel like the Chariot in general rules Cancer, because I look at the shoulders and I see the moon, the crescent moons representing the sort of intuition that is his greatest armor. I'll put it that way. Now, in this card, there's an inference of movement. It almost looks like he's standing on a chariot, but there doesn't feel like there's any movement. So this is really an opportunity to sit and be aware of the polarities before taking action. And I think that really much plays into this whole idea that today Mercury is opposing Neptune. So this is offering an opportunity to look where I may be getting in my own way, because Pisces and Neptune rule self-undoing, and Mercury is going to rule my thoughts and my speech. So while oftentimes I want to, talk or complain about the things that happen in my life that I don't like, I also am very aware the more I talk about them, the more life I'm giving to them. Okay, so let's go on, Virgo, to see what the angels have to say, what we're going to be victorious over, because the Chariot rules victory as well. Yes, it is. It's Virgo's birthday. All right, here we go. Welcome, 145 Club. Hi, Richie. So good to see you. Welcome to the room. Okay. Let's see where this opportunity lies. All right, Virgo, our first angel is Layla. The second is Xana. The third is Omega. And the final is Archangel Michael again. Layla, Virgo, is being joined by the Grail Knight. Xana is being joined by the Frog. Omega is being joined by the Swan. And Archangel Michael is being joined by Merlin. Well, this is very interesting to me. Because I also, thinking that the Chariot rules Cancer and that it rules a certain amount of intuition. That's why I think that the armor and the moon crescents feel like as if my best defense is to trust my instincts and to slow down a little bit and kind of allow myself to ebb and flow before I fall into what I know from my inner being and my inner intuition. Because for my Virgos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, there is Layla asking you to speak to spirit about what you really intend and what you really want. Now let's talk about a new moon in Virgo coming up on the 27th. You have an opportunity to really sit down to what is the most sacred to you, not whether or not you have evidence, if it can come into the 3D world. That's not your job right now. Your job right now, for lack of a better term, is to use this chariot to be victorious by reaching for the stars with your intuition. This is what I want. I mean, like almost, I've had a lot of, I got triggered in July when they raised my rent. So I'm still adjusting to the energetic dynamic of a new sheriff in town who's going to start to jack up my money. And so intuitively, I know I will be fine. Intuitively, I have this, I'm okay, but I'm still going back and forth because I'm human on one side and I'm a soul on another side. So Virgo, this is really an opportunity to dig deep into not evidence of how you'll do it, but seeking the sacred and bowing down to it in a way that's super authentic. Like this has to be, because when I go into my intuitive body and I'm like, is the poop hitting the fan? Am I going to be a blah, blah, blah? No, none of that's going to happen. So because in the opportunity or the obstacle, Virgo, is Xana telling you you're being protected. And the frog is giving you an opportunity to really experience something new so that you can allow yourself to clean up those thoughts that are old, that don't serve you. Because it's time for Virgo to really see themselves as the transformed swan that they are. There's victory to be had there. So again, I want to offer any disruption that potentially happens. Uranus coming in here, going retrograde, clearly stationing right now, digging deep and kind of really, Uranus kind of sometimes feels like it has to get pissed off like Aries in order to allow itself to push out. And I feel like Archangel Michael is asking you to have the courage to seek what is authentic to you in the sense of alchemy, justice, and balance. It's time, Virgo, you deserve a new story. And now part of it is you telling a story that you feel somewhere is more, I kind of want to put it this way. I feel like right now, especially with this opposition between Neptune retrograde in Pisces and then Mercury in Virgo, to really dig deep into a spiritual body that says, you know what, if I start to align to what I really want to experience, then I'm going to start to draw in those components. And I think that's kind of the theme of this whole situation, is not to see like a full-blown 100% manifestation, but to allow yourself to start to put together those little pieces that seem individually irrelevant or non consequential, and yet together they're adding up to something that's showing a new opportunity for Virgo coming up. And your job is to align mercurially to it. Speak of it, absorb yourself when you read about it, and when you think about it, as you notice the ebb and the flow between the old story and the new story, keep having the courage to move to the new story, and you'll start to see manifestations of this. While the world is going crazy at large, there are always people that thrive during the most challenging times. And part of that, or a good majority of that, is because those people focused on what they wanted versus what was happening around them. Now, in ancient times, we didn't have so much communication. We weren't so aware of what was going on 50 miles down the street. So being mindful of what you're absorbing on a subliminal level, those little subliminal things. I always think that, like, this is going to sound kind of funky, but I feel like the drug commercials they use old classic rock and roll, because I think they actually think that when we're out listening to the radio and those songs come on, there's going to be a subliminal message about the drug. So our awareness to that can neutralize it. Okay, well, good. Oh, awesome. You know what, Tebow? Great. Because the exciting part is holding. That's so powerful, to hold that eminent energy. And it's like almost like a fishing rod, right? The fish is on the line, and now you just get to reel it in. And if you move too fast, you just got to kind of go with the flow. All right, let's go on to our Libras, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right. This is a card, the Seven of Wands, that I think is a little bit about, it's about a little bit about a pattern. Because the first thing I see with this is a need to defend myself. And yet at the very same time, I don't know what this guy's defending himself from. These wands below him all have foliage on them. They don't necessarily appear to be trying to knock him off his little stance here. So where might Libra be being a little defensive? Let's see. Hi, Natalia. Welcome to the room. And I want to offer this because Libra, your ruling planet is Venus. Venus is going to be on the 24th, on the same exact day that Uranus is going, or considered going, retrograde, because that stationing period is very powerful. So the influence is already there. But Venus is going to be trining Chiron in Aries. And so I really think this is an opportunity for Libra to look at, where could I be perpetuating my own wound because I'm defending myself in a way that feels like if I want to do something for me, Chiron in Aries, I feel bad about it for some reason, because my self-worth is telling me I should focus on the partnership. But let's look and see. Thank you, Natalia. All right, here we go. Libra, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Athena. The second is Sonia. The third is Archangel Michael. That's 3 for 3. And then there is Ray. Okay, Athena's being joined by the Trust card. Sonia's being joined by the Forgiveness card. Archangel Michael is being joined by the Movement card. And Ray is being joined by the Goblin. Okay, so we start off with this idea that Libra is a little bit in maybe a place of defending themselves, not feeling the most ease right now. We have Mercury heading into Libra, not quite there yet. Once it gets into Libra, it'll be there for about a minute before it goes retrograde again. And I want to offer this opportunity to look at Venus from the idea of her being self-worth. Okay, so we have this idea on Wednesday that we have this trine with Venus, your ruling planet, and that as Mercury is going through Virgo and into Libra, it's going to give you an opportunity to really examine how much you trust yourself and assert yourself in a way that represents your value, the value that you believe about yourself, rather than potentially being defensive or looking to others to acknowledge your value. Because I want to offer it this way. There's the Forgiveness card in Sonia, and I really feel like this is very powerful for Libra today, because Neptune, our deceased loved ones, and Mercury, a reconciliation of my thoughts, is being offered, because that's where I have the courage to actually move past and look at, am I asserting myself in a way that's standing for me and trusting me? You know, when you're one of the signs that commingles, Libra commingles, Gemini commingles, Pisces commingles, for example, there can be this blurred line, and then there can be a buildup because of the blurred line of not feeling seen. So I feel like this is a little bit about Libra asserting themselves towards something they want and trusting the outcome will be favorable, because here we have the 47. So there's mercurial, this reduces down to an 11. Sonia is offering a new foundation in some ways by reconciling this idea of, maybe I've been co-creating this because I've been afraid if I assert myself that I won't feel loved and accepted. And Archangel Michael says, have the courage to move on this. Now, Ray talks about connecting with spirit from a powerful place. Let's go back here, right? What's my heart want, and what have I really been saying? Because right now, I think Libra's been edging God out. I think Libra's been maybe potentially thinking a little bit about this whole time that Libra's been in Leo. There could be Libra's been sort of feeling this of wanting to enjoy more of the Leo energies, but for some reason they've been blocked or stifled or not feeling completely a blossoming. So I think Libra's having an opportunity to see how, as they assert themselves towards themselves, they actually fuel their cooperative relationships. And it's also, I think, when I was working with Brian Coulter, learning the past lives, when you're on the Aries Libra scale, he always talks about Libra being where you've given up your power to a partnership. And I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it could be a partnership within your own mind, the obligations, the rules you've been trained to see as the paths ahead. And I feel as if Spirit wants you to assert yourself to breaking new ground. First here, and then first here, and then out into the real world in connection with Spirit. Because I think you're going to get a real opportunity to review how your thoughts are things and how they do co-create your experience. Okay, let's go on to our Scorpios, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Well, you know what, Shelley? This is, I want to offer this idea because we're all, as I said, co-creating in the experience. So I created part of that experience, and maybe part of your experience is just to forgive yourself. We're all human. Okay, so Scorpio, there is the Queen of Pentacles. That's kind of exciting, especially since the South Node has been going through your sign. But I want to offer this. I think, look at the little character sitting underneath. And we see the rams there, which represents the earth signs. And I kind of want to look and see if there isn't an underbelly of something going on where Scorpio may feel as if they are somehow connected to something unconscious when it comes to creating something in the physical world. Good morning, Creative Flow Seeker. Welcome to the room. All right, here we go. Scorpio, let's look. Because your ruling planet, Pluto, tomorrow is making a trine aspect to Mercury. So I really think, I've got to tell you, I have like 6 different squares to Chiron, Pluto, and Uranus all going on in my natal chart right now. It's like, what they call it, the SS. And I decided, am I going to be like the SS minnow and sink the shit show minnow, or am I going to rise up and use these squares to build a new house? And so this is why I'm more and more focused on the divine laws, the 12 divine, spiritual laws of the universe. And I'm willing more and more to sit in how can I create a new experience. So I think Scorpio, somewhere, somebody's sitting underneath here, maybe potentially pulling a string, or maybe it's a fear. Something is sitting underneath you right now. And I think it has to do with something to do with what you're thinking, what you're reading, what you're being stimulated by through the media. Because the South Node could give you a sense of loss and a feeling of erosion in some ways. And depending upon your personal chart, there could be a lot going on. Ariel is saying to Scorpio, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And I always like to go with the moon first. I know I'm probably the only astrologer in the world that does that, but we're humans creating on an emotional body. And if your emotional body isn't lined up, your manifestation is on a wobble. Okay. Oh, how fun, Jules. Really fun. I have Saturn. I think I've told you that. Okay. So we have Ariel in the foundational position for Scorpio. We have Rochelle in the opportunity of the obstacle. We have Seraphina in the angel's advice. And then we have Akasha, the teacher. I know, so fun. And the fun thing about it is like they can't just be like mercurial transits just zip around. It feels like they just hang on and on and on. And I got to tell you the weirdest things. I was sitting here a couple of days ago, and a total Uranian moment where somebody pops up. You guys, if watched me for a while, know I had issues with this hotel thing, and one of the characters shows up out of nowhere in the middle of a reading. It's just been, yeah, it's been really interesting. But, without these interesting times, we don't get an opportunity to make a different decision. Are my thoughts going to go down this road again, or am I just going to pick something else? Because, Jules, the flip side of Mars being all aggressive and angry and resentful is being brave and pioneering to be able to say, okay, Chiron is also the gift. The wound is the gift. Scorpio, Ariel is being joined by the horse. Rochelle's being joined by the trust card. Seraphina's being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. And Akasha is being joined by the stag. When I think about Scorpio, and I think about, having, when I was younger, I have Mercury in Scorpio. I have my power of fortune in Scorpio and Neptune in Scorpio. And people just used to focus on other people's money, like people coming, me getting other people's money. I've never gotten an inheritance, okay? People die and the people that they're attached to hoard their money. So this is where I'm going. I think that all of this is about Scorpio trusting their ability to make their own money. Their ability to, I think that the South Node, if this is on your moon, is really asking you to go deep intuitively to what do you believe about your self-worth and your own power. Because Ariel is offering you an opportunity to really start to focus in on the ability to not figure out how you're going to make the money, but knowing that you are a ever-flowing creature, an ever-vibrating creature. And when you start to really align your thoughts to the universe, will bring you the inspirations, the resources, the people, the dynamics, and your job is to start to hook up to this. This last week, this picture of Ariel is what I've been focusing in on my meditations, so that I could truly align to my ease of flow, and to, rather than victimizing myself in situations, I want to empower myself in those situations. Because, Scorpio, this is a time to find the power within. And the power within, it doesn't come from the angry side of Pluto. It comes from the willingness to dig deep in your own psychology, and how much have you been coming from your heart and trusting that dynamic. Because you're being offered a rebirth. And I think that rebirth is not outside of yourself, but inside of yourself. Almost as if you're starting to see that this is always kind of a funky energy above this woman. If I didn't know better, I'd think that's kind of a boogeyman. And at the same time, there's a warm, comforting, coloring energy to that. So I feel like there's an opportunity for Scorpio to truly, and I don't think this is about having a baby. I think this is about feeling more comfort and ease with the committee in your own mind, the committee that goes back and forth in, am I able? Aren't I able? I feel powerful. And then kind of being able to, because you have to remember that Mars co-rules Scorpio, and Mars is going to be in Gemini for months and months. And on a low octave, this is going to create arguments. This is going to create petty gossip. This is going to create people who are all snarky but on a higher level, for those that are conscious, it's an opportunity to intentionally and bravely co-create. So here we go. Akasha the teacher, and there's the stag. And I think that this is not about you being a leader, but about you learning more and more about the dichotomy between standing in your stubborn pride, God bless us all, we all have our moments, and being a true leader. And this willingness to start to dig deep into the psychology and my connection to spirit, because Scorpio also rules the occult. Now, how the occult and astrology is different. We could go into, tarot and Wiccan and da-da-da-da-da. These are all just names humans gave people to connect with the unseen. So I think this is about Scorpio bringing into the real world their power by being able to really be brave in identifying what's sitting underneath them. Okay, let's go on to our Sagittarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Is Lucy here? No, I haven't seen Lucy today. Welcome, Nathan. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Nathan. Oh, she's okay. Okay. Hi, Lucy. Welcome. I hope you're enjoying your shower. Aren't we all such an intimate group here? All right. Oh, I forgot the tarot card. Sagittarius. Oh, one of my favorite tarot cards. This is truly a magical card. And not because it's the magician, but because when we're aware that we have all the tools that we need, and when we spend our time focusing and commanding the universe through our joy and through our intention, we actually start to experience things in the real world. And this is where I love the last few years, me exploring history more and more. I was recently watching something, I think it was on the History Channel, and it was about Italy experiencing its own quote unquote civil war in the exact time frame that the United States had their civil war. And I thought that was so interesting. And I wanted to be able to go back and look at the charts of 1861 to 1865 and to see where the commonality was. Because I believe we're going through historic times, but this time we're going to start to learn how our thoughts are things. Now look at this whole astrological dynamic of Mercury opposing Neptune, kind of lifting the fog, taking the rose-colored glasses off, digging deep into, am I clinging to an illusion that something's going to come save me, or am I willing to be the co-creator of my life? Mercury and trining Pluto tomorrow is going to be like, yeah, I'm willing to do that. And Uranus is going to give you an opportunity as it goes retrograde while Venus makes an aspect to Chiron. I think this is a powerful time for Sagittarius to really take those elements of the ninth house and apply them into the real world. Oh, very interesting. 145 club. That's amazing. And I don't mean it's amazing. I just think there's this secular, it's like I always say, it's like a rope, so here's Germany making one and Italy in another and the United States, and all giving us opportunities to look at how we oppress each other and liberate ourselves from that. So I think for Sagittarius, this is going to be a real illuminating week. Or I should say the next few months, actually. A week isn't really not enough time, but an opportunity to not judge and not condemn, but to observe how my thoughts drift back and forth to various places, and then continue to realign them to what I truly want to experience, because that is the ascension. The ascension is not us turning into translucent beings and floating around. The ascension is the awareness that our thoughts are things, and continually aligning to that idea in a way that is observant and allows for flow. Because without the challenging experiences, there is no empowerment. Okay, Sagittarius, let's see where we're focusing this as above, so below. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine how it will be depicted, but I do think it will be depicted in a way, 145 Club, that is more authentic to truth than we've seen before in history, where they cherry pick the stories they want to tell. Okay. We have Isaiah saying it's time to give birth to new ideas and new situations. We have Bridget asking us to look deeper into our thoughts. We have Teresa bringing up, am I worrying about others more than I worry about myself? Because I want to offer this. The human will naturally initially think I must take care of others in order for them to feel safe and secure. But when we take care of ourselves, we not only open the experience for others to take the invitation, but we also there's a sense of being more enthusiastic about caring for others when I'm not feeling obligated to do so. So something's going on here. Hold on. Let's look at Sagittarius. What are we giving birth to? What's the new idea? Where are we going? Communication, of course. Then we have Bridget and the King. We have Teresa and the Deer. And then we have Rochelle and the Serpent. Okay. I absolutely think, Sagittarius rules broad thoughts, thoughts going in new directions. And I say thoughts because it rules education, okay? It rules higher education. It rules PhDs. It rules the Supreme Court. It rules judgment in some respects. So now I think Sagittarius is going to start to, in a very favorable and loving way, recognize their thoughts are things, because the magician has bounty all around this. There is an infinite opportunities to express this energy. So here we go. We're going to have an epiphany. Yes, synchronizations, communication in my everyday world. Mars going through Gemini forever and a day is going to continually ask us to be braver and braver about what we're looking at, what we're absorbing, and to give life to new ideas about those things. When I first started being aware that the drug commercials were so invasive or pervasive or so prevalent, I started to be annoyed by them. And so I would hit the mute button. And then I became aware that my annoyance was a vibration, a resistance. So I started to mute them, but mute them with an energy of, I just don't want to hear this right now. And so I become more and more aware of how communication, how what I'm reading, what I'm absorbing, and not just hearing it, but how is it vibrating within my body? Because it's time to look deeper into, are you behaving in a just and authoritative way for yourself, Sagittarius? It's time to claim your thoughts in a big, big way, because as you become aware of them, I feel like there's some sort of worry attached to this, and there's some sort of fear attached to this. And it may be what you perceive as your obligations to others. Isaiah is protecting a pregnant woman. And I'm not saying that every Sagittarius is pregnant, but there may be others that are involved in what you believe you are responsible to. And so in doing so, I think a little bit of a step back to really examine, how am I processing things? Because as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, harmony and peace comes much more easily, and you feel this shedding of a skin that feels like most people like to call it a healing. I like to call it a reconciliation, where a disturbing or disruptive experience is actually served to empower me and make me feel braver in trusting my heart. The thing that's so beautiful about Sagittarius is that it's curious about very diverse things. I want to go travel all over the world and experience. So now I think it's a little bit of an opportunity for you. I didn't really think about if Jupiter was making any significant aspects this week, but Jupiter is going retrograde in Aries. And Aries is always going to be about my head, myself, in the sense of, how do I move in the world? I'm a pioneer. I break ground. So now Sagittarius is about breaking ground in your awareness of what you're peppering your environment with in the way of your thoughts. And I can't help but notice the snake, which is also a sign of healing, and it is around the solar plex chakra. Okay, let's go on to our Capricorns, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, yay. Look at Capricorn. The sun is shining for you. This is a beautiful, beautiful energy. Good morning, Connie. So good to see you. So I'm going to tell you, this is, Capricorn, this may not be the easiest energy for you to purport, but that young man sitting on that horse is not only naked as a jaybird, he has no saddle. So he is trusting and vulnerable to this sun shining. He is happy and celebratory to the sun shining. Let's see how this plays out for you, Capricorn, because here your ruling planet Saturn is making an opposition to it's Venus in Leo. Yeah, that's what I thought. Good morning, Stephen. It's so good to see you. We just did Sagittarius. You missed it. Okay, we're on Capricorn right now, and our tarot card is the Sun. Because on the 25th, when Venus at 17 degrees Leo makes an opposition to Saturn in Aquarius, it's an opportunity to get real about your self-worth and about who and what you are, and what you believe about yourself. And it should all be favorable because the sun is shining. So even if your manifestation hasn't completely shown up, your willingness to be vulnerable. Look at that little kid's headdress too, the sunflowers, and there's that big red feather going up in his head. He really feels excited. Look at him. All right. I don't know why I assume it's a him. It could be anybody. All right. Bethany. This is about self-care, Capricorn. Then we have Teresa, which is about other people. Adriana, which is about being led. And then Azure, which is about things coming into fruition. Let's look and see. Bethany is being joined by the Fire Fairy. Teresa is being joined by the Mystery card. Adriana is being joined by the Birth and the Rebirth card. And Azure is being joined by the Perception card. So I think you guys have known for a while that I've been thinking of Saturn and Saturn being Capricorn's ruler as Coach Boone. So is Coach Boone the warmest, fuzziest guy on the screen? No, he's really very demanding. He's unrelenting, or relentless is the word I should probably be using. And he doesn't really tell you what position he wants you to play. He tells you to pick your position and then to marry yourself to it and to be the best you can be. So Capricorn, I think right now, this is Coach Boone, Saturn telling you to be super creative and optimistic about when you take care of yourself, because Capricorn rules dutiful energy. It rules authority. It rules government, And so there may be a dynamic where you have to really kind of give yourself a little bit of time in the sun to allow yourself to put yourself as a priority, because in the opportunity, the obstacle is now the choice of your dutiful behavior. And I want to say this is the Mystery card, and this feels like duty to others to me. So is my duty, because the vibration of how we perform a task is really more important than the task itself. So when we go into a situation and we're excited about something, then we are like, oh, wow. And we manifest a higher vibration of it. But here, this is about Capricorn actually seeing how great it is to put themselves at a priority on how they feel when they start something new. Okay, because when you see that you put others ahead of yourself, it's been an obstacle. And now Adriana is here offering you an opportunity for a rebirth. But this rebirth comes from you allowing yourself to put yourself as a priority, to see that as important. Because here is Azure saying that your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. And there's the shift in your own perception. So we have Pluto transiting those last few degrees of Capricorn. We have, this potential conjunction with some of you, but also the idea that if your rising sign is Capricorn, then you've always kind of looked at yourself as having to do things for others. And I think this is an opportunity for you to be vulnerable to the idea that when you actually put yourself first, because this also rules Leo. Okay, your personal enjoyment, pleasure, fun, you actually set a new tone for leadership. And I think that this is going to become super important, especially around the 25th this week, when Saturn is opposing Venus, my self-worth in Leo. And this square to Uranus feels like it may create some sort of tense conversation, a disruption of some kind that pulls me back into somebody wanting me to be what they've always known I should be for them. And now maybe that's expired. Maybe that dutiful behavior has never really served the Capricorn. It's only served the other side. And so you're sort of having this epiphany that if I continue to do this, I'm not going to be fulfilled. And I have to take care of me in order to be the happy goat I want to be. And for everyone else to be happy around you, frankly. All right, let's go on to our Aquariuses. Sending lots of love to you, small wildflowers. I hope you're feeling better. Exactly. But I want to offer this because, Nori, I think that the planets really, as they traverse, because I've been noticing the retrogrades, like the first time you got like Uranus went retrograde and squared Saturn had a certain effect on me, and it felt kind of benign, didn't feel that big. But then as they go back and forth and we revisit these ideas, it feels like the planets just keep digging deeper and deeper and saying, are you sure? Are you being authentic? Are you being superficial? Because I really believe that this Pluto transit through Capricorn is about breaking up these old, antiquated, dutiful, obligatory, out of balance dynamics that we're so used to that we don't know how to really allow ourselves not to be influenced by them. So, all right, let's go on to our Aquarius. Ooh, this is your star. This is your card. Literally, the star rules Aquarius. Now, let's see. Saturn is moving through Aquarius right now, so we know that. And your ruling planet, Uranus, co-ruler, about to make a square to Saturn. There's a lot going on there. But you know what? This woman is vulnerable. She sees something emotionally. She's willing to stand on that. She feels solid. See her foot facing that pool that she's pouring the water in, but she's also very clear about what she can't see as well. She's vulnerable in many ways to both what she is currently manifesting and what she's put in the Ethernet. So I really think this is a powerful card. Let's see, because I want to offer it this way. This last few months well, I could say my whole life, but this last few months has really, for the first time since I started working for myself, has made me kind of feel like I'm going back to square one and looking to see, do I really truly believe in my value? Do I have to mirror other people or do things like other people do them? Because I have a very different viewpoint of astrology. I'm very bored by astrologers who continue to perpetrate these ancient key words that don't allow for evolution. I agree, 145 Club. And I don't know if they've been singled out as much as they may have chosen to be part of this disruptive energy that allows a bigger authenticity to come. I have Pluto in Virgo, and it is at 5 degrees in my natal chart. And most of the planets in my chart are on that side of the wheel. So Pluto has literally influenced my chart much more so than Mars has, which is my rising sign, because it literally was conjunct every single one of my planets. And then as it went to square them, it felt as if Pluto was saying, okay, so we looked at you being part of the problem. Now, how are you going to process the tension of other people not being on the same page with you? Because as I have become more of a willingness to co-create my life, there are a lot of people who say, I don't co-create my life. God chooses my life. Or this happened to me. I didn't do anything. That is a big disconnect with the masses right now. Okay, so let's look and see. Where's the star offering you an opportunity to be excited about what you're creating and about what you're creating that you can't see the results just yet? Thank you, Nori. All right, Aquarius, our first angel is Caressa. The second is Oceana. The third is Bethany. And the final is Akasha. Oops. Okay, Caressa is being joined by the Wealth card. Oceana is being joined by the Butterfly. Bethany's being joined by the Horse. And Akasha is being joined by the Queen. Okay, this feels very powerful for me for Aquarius because I want to offer this. I feel like you're manifesting on two levels right now, which is sort of interesting because your co-rulers are so what appear to be opposing, right? Saturn being so old and historic and wanting to be cautious, and Uranus being like, let's blow it up, lightning, thunder. I think there's something going on here that's more cooperative. I almost feel as if right now, Aquarius, this could be the Saturn influence, right? Here's a certain amount of what you can see, you can create. And now this big yellow star is Uranus about what you're creating that you're not even completely conscious of being aware of. So now what I think is happening, because the 11th house rules, Aquarius rules my hopes and desires. It is a money-making house. So I believe that the Wealth card here is not about money per se, but a feeling of flow and abundance as you close the Saturnian chapter in its most challenging dynamic, where you start to realize that my job, the Saturnian energy, is for me to show, to display trust and faith in that which I cannot see, but I have intention to experience, because Oceana and the Butterfly mirror this dynamic here with the star and the water. It's when I trust my intuitive and emotional body that I truly blossom the most. This is also kind of Pluto energy, because the caterpillar's got to die for the butterfly to live. Now, in the Angels' advice, this is Bethany, and this is going in a new direction. And I really believe, Aquarius, this new direction is not about a pounding the pavement. Oh, I better turn left or I better turn right. But no, employing this idea that I am the co-creator, that I am not just a physical being, but I'm a vibrational being. And my emotional body sets a vibrational tone for what ripples out into the universe. Because I think, Aquarius, you're going to start to exhibit and teach others humanity, you rule humanity, you rule the World Wide Web, really, versus everyday activities. And there's the Queen, which is fertility in reception. So I believe for my Aquariuses that there's something that's going to happen this week, or that's going to be teed up, a beginning of epiphanies that Uranus and Mercury are going to offer through these dynamics coming up that are like, wow, okay, so if I'm truly the co-creator, I'm willing to be vulnerable, that effort is not as palatable as my emotional body being excited and then taking inspired action. That's what I think is going to happen. And I believe that you are literally you're going to surprise yourself, Aquarius. You're going to be like, whoa, I can't believe that happened. And yet it's going to dig deep into the Uranian part of you that's going to be like, if I could do that once, I could do it again. And you're going to become sort of a magical being, because you're going to create from a whole new, innovative way, where you start to really dig in, and thoughts are things. Sean, I've started recently with the sign of the month. So we started with Leo, and we're working our way around, to Cancer. I just finished with Aquarius, and I'm going on to Pisces now. Hopefully we'll have timestamps. I appreciate everybody. Okay, let's see what the tarot card is for our Pisces, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. We start Virgo tomorrow. The 22nd is our Virgo season begins. All right. Yes, you missed Sagittarius, but that's okay. You can rewind. All right. Here we are, Pisces. Now, this is a bit of an interesting energy, because Pisces rules hospitals. It rules research. It rules ashrams and places where we're alone. And it also is the sign of self-undoing, the 12th house. And in some respects, the Five of Pentacles will represent where these characters have an opportunity to move to the church, but they can't see it because they're so entrenched in their challenge, so entrenched in the headwind that they're walking through. So let's see where this is coming, because today, and I think for the next day or so, Neptune is making an opposition to Virgo. Mercury in Virgo. So Virgo represents our health, and I'm talking about mental health, our stress, because also the 12th house Pisces rules mental hospitals. So I think we're going to a stress place here. Let's see what's happening. And are there solutions that may feel foggy or blocked or not able to see through the fog in some way? Okay, let's look. All right, Pisces, our first angel is Isaiah. The second is Seraphina. The third is Fiona. And the final is Xana. On some level, I kind of think Pisces might be one of the most polarizing houses, because it really represents our past lives, our ancestors. It's the house before the physical. We release the physical and go back into the collective. And I feel like it's the house that offers us the most opportunity if we're willing to sit a little bit and really claim ourselves, because the 12th house is the house behind the first house. So we have to, in some ways, not see with our physical eyes, but with a different dynamic. And so I think maybe what we're looking at is Pisces really starting to look at the amount of time they spend focused in on what might not be working. And as much as it may feel real right now, because you can feel that cold headwind, is your focus on it serving you? Because Isaiah is saying it's time to give birth to new ideas and new situations. And there we have the disruption card. Now, I believe in divine disruption. And sometimes Pisces is such a mutable sign and so cooperative and so compassionate, empathetic, that it gets a little bit stepped on. So let's see, because Seraphina is offering a happy change to our families. And there is alchemy, justice, and balance. Now Fiona is saying, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. But part of that receiving is your willingness to be truthful about your co-creation in the situation. Because again, I don't believe that this particular tarot card has to play out in the form of ill health or rejection, but more your willingness to lift your head during a storm and see where your focus has been. Because so much of the aspects going on this week involve Mercury and Uranus, and they are cooperative. They rule our thoughts, and the human is dominated by their thoughts, which then become their emotions. So Xana's telling you that you're being protected, because now is a time for you to start to assume the position of receiving. When I was for those of you that were started off on the live last week, you obviously saw a part of me that I don't like to share with others. And when I went into my meditation afterwards, I was focused in on the idea that everything is working out for me. And part of what I was doing is going, okay, how did I participate? I'm being protected in some ways, but I also get to realize that everything that I'm doing comes from my thoughts, and are my thoughts aligned to what I want to receive? Because disruption right now is bringing an illumination. That's what I think this is. And within the illumination, things will start to move forward for you. This isn't a whole do-over. It feels more like this is an opportunity for Pisces to step up into a more empowered place of co-creation. And then as a result of that co-creation, be like, okay, whatever was difficult in the beginning was only there to remind me of where my focus is, or where I could potentially have been aligned to a story that doesn't serve me anymore. The human is pummeled with fear-based input. from your finances to your car to your body to, I mean, it's rampant right now. So it really, an awareness of what triggers me or what starts to get me going and what doesn't, and starting to be a little bit more mindful of that. And I feel a little bit like this is going to be very empowering for Pisces. And at the same time, it may feel a little bit like you're swimming upstream. Okay, let's go on to our Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, thank you, 145 Club. I really appreciate that. So many times it doesn't feel like it is, I got to tell you. But that's the beauty of kind of being on the planet, because there's so much that I can't see. And, you know, in my willingness to be like, how did I cook? Because I can't take last Sunday as an isolated incident, but in my mind, see this sort of series of events that has happened and been peppered throughout my own personal experience, asking me how I really view my aging process. Because I talk about this being the greatest chapters for many of us, but at the same time, I'm having a really weird mind meld about being 62, almost 63 years old, and how that lands on other people. Mercury, our communities. So my trepidation, my own fear, my Chiron in Aquarius is part of the co-creation that created that experience, that let me be aware of my own wound and my own emotional response. On any other day, I might have responded completely different. And as I walked through that moment, I felt very empowered when I got back on and filmed later that day and put up the things. I'm like, okay, this is about me walking through me. Nothing's happening to me. It's offering me a perception. I got to tell you, Stephen, these are I never freaked out at 30. I didn't freak out at 40. 50 was a little weird, but I pretty much managed my way through 50s because I felt like I looked pretty good. But 60s where I started getting like this wrinkly stuff going on. And whew, weirdo. Okay, on to our Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Oh, I love this since I'm an Aries rising. The Ace of Cups. This is a feeling of love, of peace, of connection, of ease, of emotional flow, and connection to spirit. So let's look and see where this is coming through. Love the Ace of Cups. Okay. Our first angel is Fiona. The second is Maya. The third is Azure. And the final is Daniel. Okay, here we go. Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Fiona says, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. And there's the wasp. Maya is being joined by the communications card. Aurora is being joined by the perception card. Can I laugh at my Aries rising right now? Oh my goodness. You know, the cup of love. So awesome. Daniel's being joined by Merlin. Okay. The flip side, the shadow side of Aries is the warrior, is the anger ball, is the blunt one, the taking no prisoners, the aggressor, you know? And I feel like, because I will tell you, one of my focuses this week as an Aries rising is I don't want to carry anger around anymore. I don't want to carry victimhood around. I don't want resentment anymore. I want wisdom through my challenges. I am sick and tired of being any kind of victim. Okay. So here, Fiona says, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, Aries, be open to receiving the release of your anger, the release of your resentment, the wisdom not to retaliate in anger. Because I'm going to tell you, Aries is going to be tested. I mean, everybody's going to be tested, but as Mars goes into Gemini for all these months, the warrior mind is going to be up for review. It's going to be like, is your anger serve you? How are you showing up? Are you showing up in a way that will allow others to feel a flow? Because that's the shadow side of Aries as well. Is that Aries is, kind of, says things like it's law, and it may not be law. Because here, Aries, you are learning Maya about communication. And this is not a giving up of your power, but this is something, as an Aries rising, one of my greatest lessons to learn was, do you want to be right or do you want to be heard? And for a long time, I just wanted to be right and tell everybody else to do this. But you know what? That didn't really serve what I really wanted to feel in the way of loved and appreciated. So now, as I'm aware of how do I hold on to anger? Yeah, Aries, you can. But how is your communication really serving you? Because that's what you're learning. You've got Jupiter in your house. You've got Chiron transiting in there. This is your beliefs, Jupiter, Chiron, the wound. And even though they're transit, they are very much giving you an opportunity to see how you show up, and if that showing up is serving the bigger picture of what you want. Because Aries is also the gladiator. Aries is the hero that goes in with other heroes and saves people from the burning building. So there is cooperation. There is teamwork. There is the ability to, it can be a very polarizing energy, because in the angel's advice is the perception card. And here's Aurora saying you're flying high right now, which may threaten others, but they will soon be inspired by your example, because you're not saying you can't be a pissed off person. You're just saying, I know when I want to do it and when I don't. I know when I want to pull out my sword. That's the thing. I used to think when I was younger that if I got mad at somebody and I yelled at them, they would just go away and leave my life. And I worked for a long time in Hollywood. And I remember there was this one guy, and man, he was such a kiss ass. He never did anything. He sat around and he bullshitted the whole time. And I used to get so angry. I've got strong Capricorn energy in my work sectors. So I'm really a workhorse. And he would get invited back over and over again. And I kept thinking he would go away. And I ended up becoming the villain because I was so mean to him. So I started to learn that my anger didn't necessarily serve me. So how was I going to show up in a way that would allow me to experience the outcome I wanted and still be authentic to my truth? Because that's where I was starting to learn about my communication. Do you want to say things just to blurt them out, or do you actually want to be heard? Because everybody has a perception of things. And when I open up and am aware of my perception, I turn around and make magic happen. Because now Daniel, the angel of marriage, and Merlin is really an interesting combination, because Daniel, if I was 20, I'd be so excited. Oh, marriage, I'm going to meet somebody. But no, Daniel really represents the history in relationships that we drag over and over again into our lives. And for Aries, maybe you don't always feel so loved, but now is an opportunity for you to feel loved, because you're now aware of how you're showing up. And now you can flatten that history, because now it turns into alchemy. You use that history to be more intentional about how you want to show up. And this is where Aries becomes crazy cool. Okay? Crazy cool. All right, let's go on to our Taurus's rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. It's weird. I've been watching Lucky lately, and he seems just like he's just in the last couple of months starting to show a little bit of signs of age. He does this weird thing where he stares. Yes, Taurus moon, Teri, that's me. I'm a Taurus moon, and boy, can you tell sometimes. Okay, here we go. Can you tell sometimes? You can always tell. All right, here we go, Taurus. Oh, I love this. There's the strength card, also known as fortitude and gentility. And actually, this is where compassion and knowing, when she's got that infinity sign, she's aware that everything comes around and goes around. So how do I want to show up for others? And how do I want to show up for me? So let's see where compassion reigns, where I kind of want to put it this way, because there's also a fearlessness to this energy. She's not afraid to get her hands near that lion's mouth. And in doing so, she is showing trust for that beast and taming it. Maybe he is looking at a ghost. I don't know. He could be. Because there's been a lot of people who have died that I know and I don't know. But I watched on TikTok and it really made me sad. This one guy passed away. Really cute guy. I don't know if you know Pico Train on TikTok. Okay, Taurus moon, here we go. Where are we asking to tame because Taurus is a fixed sign. Okay. And Venus is making a strong aspect to Chiron this week. So Venus is trining Chiron. So there's an opportunity because Venus is in Leo. Let's look at Taurus. What's going on? Azure, your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. Serena is the angel of abundance. Thank you so much. Love it. In the angel's advice, we have Archangel Raphael. And in the final position is Isabella. Okay, so this is where I'm going to think a little bit that this is about Taurus on Taurus, meaning Taurus being compassionate, putting your hands in the beast of your own mouth, the mouth of your own beast, and being compassionate and allowing spirit to give you a new experience. This woman is covered in foliage. She has the appearance of a goddess. And so she has trust in the inherent nature of the earth, which is what Taurus is, an earth sign. So your desired outcome will happen in the near future. What does Taurus want? It wants to feel secure. It wants to feel safe. It wants to feel at home and purposeful and meaningful. Okay, so Azure is being joined by the Bee card. Serena is being joined by the Mystery card. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Dragon. And Isabella is being joined by the Forgiveness card. Okay, so this is so interesting to me. Azure talks about your desired outcome happening in the near future, having patience and faith and not trying to force it. Force is a resistant energy. Worry is force. Overthinking something is force. Working too hard, feeling obligated within anything is force. Now you become aware of your being energy, and this is where your victory comes through. And this is where you start to tame the beast and you start to understand. Again, we have large, huge aspects of Mercury. Mercury's going to go retrograde this week. Uranus is going retrograde. They work in tandem. They both rule the mind. They rule the monkey mind, Mercury, and they rule anxiety, Uranus. And I believe that Uranus stokes our nervous system and anxiety when we're not being authentic to our deeper truth. So now Serena could be about money and the opportunity or the obstacle, but it's about serenity and making a choice to be serene, to not forcing anything through worry, but rather trusting that the universe will bring everything to me as I allow myself the privilege of trusting the inherent and intrinsic laws of the universe, the laws of vibration, the laws of cause and effect, the laws of attraction, the law of allowing. Because in the angel's advice, Taurus has an epiphany about being calm. And that's where their true power lies. Because here, the timing is right for your new venture. And then I saw the monkey here today, and I felt like this is the monkey mind that Gemini can be sometimes. And Mars going into Gemini could make us feel scattered and unsure and like go back and forth and actually want to fight with our words because we want to defend the lesser position. But here is the forgiveness card. So I think Taurus has a triumphant moment of understanding their thoughts or things, starting to come into cooperation as I gently and consistently tame the beast of my thoughts. Okay, it's all right if I have this thought, because this thought gives me a choice to have another thought. Gemini in the 7th house could potentially, where's Mercury? Where's the ruler of the house in your chart, Natalia? Because that will tell you where your mind might be, how your mind is processing your 7th house. Okay. Let's go on to 9th house. So Mercury to me would be about in some respects, this cooperation between wanting somebody young and curious and friendly and fun and exciting because they like to move, Gemini, and then somebody who has deeper thoughts, Mercury in the ninth house, somebody who actually has the ability to kind of commingle those two elements because they are cooperative on the wheel. All oppositions are cooperative. Okay. Ooh, Pilates. That sounds good. All right, let's see. All right, for our Cancers, Gemini. Teri, Gemini. Look at the Emperor. I kind of love this. You know, the Emperor is bigger than the King. The Emperor has kings underneath him. And this is Aries. And we're talking a lot about Mars going into Gemini. And so I want to offer this is to rule dominion over your Aryan energy while you are walking through, because I feel like this is about really standing up. Look at this particular guy. While he rules Aries, he's all in red, your base chakra. And then the other dominant colors are your sacral chakra and a little bit of your power chakra. But your power chakra comes from being calm, cool, and collected in some ways. And now I also kind of see this as a Venusian energy, that things will come to you as you sit and you relax. Yeah, hello, Mars is going to be, this Mars thing is going to be going on for a long time. And I got to tell you, on a mundane level, I think there could be riots in the street. I think people could be even more, just reactionary. Your teammates, your workmates may be kind of cranky and just kind of blunt and rude. And this is where you really have opportunities to, how do I want to process this? How do I step in that pioneering energy of, I'm not going to pay attention to what you do. I'm only going to pay attention to what I do. All right, let's look and see where the Emperor comes into play here, because there's a certain amount of bounty I feel attached to this. Okay, Caress is talking about the end of a life cycle. New happiness awaits you, Gemini. Xana says you're being protected from all types of harm. And Grace and Antoinette is asking you to have compassion with yourself as your brain goes back and forth, wondering if you're actually protected. Then we have Serena, the angel of abundance. Okay, here we go. Have serenity about your money. You'll be fine. It sounds like fun, Jenny. I got to tell you. But you wouldn't catch me on roller skates now. I'm the biggest, laziest person. If I fell down, God only knows. Okay, Gemini. Caressa is being joined by the goblin. Xana is being joined by the hawk. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the eagle. And Serena's being joined by the truth card. Okay, this is what I want to say. For my Geminis, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, I want to offer this. If for some reason you have not been feeling as if people were giving you the proper respect that you deserve in your world, it's time to claim it. And I want to offer it this way. The claiming is not telling someone they need to respect you. It's moving away from people who don't respect you. And I don't mean it physically. I mean it mentally and emotionally. To be the emperor, to go your own path, because Caressa is saying that you're at the end of a life cycle, and now it's time to stop edging God out, because there is divine disruption afoot. And that divine disruption is not meant to take you under. It's meant to move the things that haven't been working for you, or the things that have expired, out of your experience, so that you can start to rise up to be all you want to be and experience in this world. Because you're being protected, and it's up to you to start to look for it, because this is about signs and omens and rising above the situation. There's a really big opportunity that while Mars goes through Gemini, the aggressive energy may reveal tendencies about others that actually move them out of your experience. And as you sit in a place of compassion for self and really stretching for what's going on here, Spirit, how do I stand within this energy and thrive? Because again, the eagle and the hawk, they're very strong birds of prey, but of sight. of willingness to see the truth and having compassion for self as we see the truth. Because Serena is the angel of abundance and and there's the truth card. So this is what I want to offer. If Gemini in any way you've been looking to others to demonstrate their value of you monetarily, it's time for you to claim your value. And it isn't about telling them I'm worth blah, 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 blah. It's more about saying no to the imbalance of someone holding you small. So let me give you a straight up what happened to me yesterday. So apparently I've got this self-worth issue going on because it's been a theme since July that keeps popping up about my age, my this, my that. Yesterday, a complete stranger called me and asked me to do a complimentary reading for her. I was blown away. My first thought was, what in the world is going on in my vibration that somebody thinks that I'm just going to give them something for free? And this has gone on like 3 or 4 times where clients that I've worked with suddenly call me at 10 o'clock at night and ask me things and then act as if we're friends. We're not friends. I've never gone to dinner with you. You don't remember me on my birthday. And they don't want to pay me. And instead of being gracious about it, they're being snarky about it. My point is, am I going to let my ego get checked? Or am I going to be like, okay, I'm going to start to take control of my life and start to take control of my own value. And as I do so, I know that spirit is cleaning up a vibration that's been going on inside of me. And I'm going to have compassion for self as I stand in integrity for my truth and my value. Because Serena will bring the money that you need and a sense of serenity. There'll be a calming to that back and forth. But part of it is your willingness to use Mars's energy as it traverses through Gemini to be braver and braver about what is important to you and where you might have inadvertently assigned safety. And it's really just a golden noose of some kind. So, and I want to offer it this way because your first point of entry, for lack of a better term, is to engage spirit and say, you know what, I want to experience something new. And I'm not quite sure of the details of what that newness is, but let me tell you how I feel about it when I wake up on Monday morning and I go to get in the shower to go to work. That's where I'm going. All right. Let's go on to our final sign, Cancer, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And next week, we'll be starting with Virgo. And if I haven't mentioned it earlier, I did a separate video for the new moon in Virgo. I put the link below if you guys want to check it out. All right. Well, Cancer, we're assessing things right now. We're looking at what we've created and we are deciding what we're going to do about that. Am I going to harvest my bounty or am I going to let it grow a little bit longer? Let's look and see. Because apparently plucking the first one did not give me the answer I'm looking for. See the one underneath between his feet? So there's an unsureness as to whether things are ready to move forward or move at all. Let's see. And I want to offer this because when I look at this, I notice new things all the time in the cards. And this time I noticed the purple mountains in the background. They're small. They seem to be kind of in the distant, but the color purple really represents this third eye idea, right? And mountain is a hill to climb. And am I trusting what I see with my eyes in my bounty? What I've actually, this is what I've created in the material, or is trusting a little bit of this unknowing? This is this a mountain to climb for me? All right, let's look, Cancer. Our first angel is Bethany, self-care. The second is Archangel Gabriel, communication. The third is Indriel. And the final is Athena. One of the things I see oftentimes is that people will come and I'll start to bring up the idea of vibration, and they will say, I am aligned to wanting my husband. I want him. I'm aligned to wanting my girlfriend. Do you see my vibration? It's frustration. That's not alignment. That's resistance. So we need to really be aware of what our deep frustration is or what our deep alignment is, because Bethany is about self-care, and there's the B card. So we're going to go deeper and deeper into what we believe versus what we see. This is why I think these purple mountains have hit me, because I got to climb a little bit of a hill to trust my intuition here. I'm not quite sure, because Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the focus card, and my Archangel Gabriel could not be more communicative and a bit Geminian. So I might have had a duplicitous focus, which is fine. It's fine. I don't need to know the answer to everything, but it may be going back and forth might be making me feel more insecure about my decisions, unsure about my decisions, because Indriel is asking you to only move towards love, only move towards what you love and what you want, and to allow this epiphany to actually be what is your true north, because Athena is about asserting yourself, and the cat is about independence and healthy boundaries, but it's also about 9 lives. So I want to offer this as you are contemplating the next step, where you want to go. And I want to offer it this way, because it doesn't really matter the genre. It could be you're a single person and you want to get in a relationship. It could be that you are already in a relationship and you want to start to have a family. And there's a million different things that Cancer could want. But I think what you need to go back and assess is what you want for you. And am I inadvertently assessing things from too much of a nurturing collective outside myself? Because as I focus in on what I want, I start to draw in the experiences of love and cooperation and commingling of energy, the feeling of happy families, happy people laughing. And then I realize that what I've done is actually purport more balance for those around me by having healthy boundaries. I've taken a certain sense of, and I'm going to say this lovingly, obligation off the table. Because when Cancer nurtures, sometimes they are inadvertently nurture with the idea that when I give to you, you will give back to me. And that can very well be, but it cannot be a real expectation. And I think that's where Cancer might get tripped up a little bit. It's like, and so now it's about really giving to oneself and demonstrating, oh, I know how to take care of me. So when I take care of me, you take care of you. We're both taking care of each other. And I really do think this is about assessing what direction you want to go. This is the material. This is the 7, which is the more fixed energy of my brain is not working. Taurus. So this is really, what am I amassing in the way of my self-worth? What do I really believe in myself? Because here's Bethany, the self, and the victory that comes from believing in myself beyond what I can see with my eyes, but what I can actually feel, and my awareness of my mental process. The awareness is not a judgment, and it's not about regret. It's more about allowing contrast. So I have an epiphany that every time I turn around, I just want to move a little bit more towards love. And sometimes love is just being okay during a disruptive moment. So for my Cancers, it's great for you to start to assert yourself in a little bit of an independent way, because I think that independent way will actually bring more connectedness with others. So that's what I want to say. Is this decade going to be turbulent? Karen, you can count on it. This is a time when we are rewriting the structure of how we operate. And turbulence is something that's kind of natural to the human. You know, if we look back when we went from horse and buggy to the railroad, it was a huge disruption. And now we're going into further and further opportunities. Technology, when Uranus moves into Gemini, we're going to see a lot of innovations. So now what's happening, this turbulent time, is giving ourselves an opportunity to recognize that we're co-creators in our life. So when the technology comes to facilitate that co-creation in a more innovative way, we will be prepared We will not be reactionary or operating on lower vibrations. I mean, there'll always be low vibrations because they provide contrast, but at the same time, there will always be those that thrive. And that's what this community is here to foster, is an awareness and a focus. And as we are aware of our focus, we will thrive. And as we stand together, we become very, very powerful. One who is aligned to their creation is more powerful than a million people who are not aligned. And that's a direct quote from Abraham. So everybody, I want to thank you for being here. And I want to thank Shelley for being here. I really appreciate it. I want to thank you for the lessons that you facilitated for me this last week and for the empowerment and the love that you actually gave me through this situation. So everybody have a great week. I will be back next Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And I'm working on a little bit of a Mars series. I thought that would be appropriate for its stint in Gemini. So we'll be looking at that. And I want to offer it this way, because when I'm doing these videos about the planets, I'm kind of taking the astrology and marrying it to how we can apply that to the laws of attraction, the laws of allowing, etc., etc. Lots of love to everybody as we begin Virgo season, and be gentle with yourself as we walk through these illuminating times. Okay? Peace out, everybody.